Hi, welcome back to the Scent Advocate. Tonight we're talking about fragrances that are bold, nonconformist. They make a statement. You wear them just for you, not anybody else. They're not off-putting. They don't alienate anyone. But they're not afraid to be noticed. Convention, that's for the other guy. You're doing this for you, unafraid, unapologetic. These are the ones. Tonight's beverage was a rather nice French champagne. It's almost gone. It was excellent though. Mark made coconut shrimp with unsweetened coconut. I can't get down with too much sugar, you know, and it was just the perfect accompaniment. All right, so tonight's fragrances, unafraid, unapologetic, they go for it. Stay till the end because the surprise ending is a very bold fragrance. I'll give you a couple of clues. Maybe you could guess along the way. It's a classic in its name. It is nautical, a little bit man against nature, and contemplates the eating of a leg. Oh yeah, ponder that. Let's jump right in. The very first non-conformist, you're doing it just for you because you want to wear it, fragrance is Libertine Neroli by Francesca Bianchi. I love this one. I have a little trouble with Neroli, but this one is so nervy. It's so unapologetic. I'm trying to get some of my testing strips. There we go. That I just couldn't turn away from it. I tested this, and it's not really me. That bitter feel to it just isn't what I normally reach for, but this one was an exception. I love it. So this is an extrait. It's a 30 ml. It goes for about $145, and it was released in 2022. I think what I love so much about it, it is a little bit of a floral chypre. And the notes in this are petitgrain, bergamot, neroli, of course, iris, geranium, oak moss. I love it. Leather, labdanum, and benzoin. So the person who wears this, I always think about as an educator, kind of like the bad teacher. This person is a little bit jaded, very much over it, you know, the whole thrill of sharing, you know, the wonderful experience of enlightening young minds and all. That's all wonderful. That's all wonderful. But this person, no. This person does it for himself or herself. By the way, this is completely unisex. Yeah, I just get an educator that's been around the block a bit in terms of experience. And, you know, this person is direct, driven, planned, poised, purposeful, clean cut, unapologetic about it. In this person's mind, neroli equals citrus equals clean. This person is very clean, very orderly, except on his or her desk, which is a hot mess. But that's completely consistent with the hot mess that is the classroom environment. It's the struggle. It's the struggle between this person's personal convictions and the chaos that is probably somewhat natural in the classroom environment. In order to keep that sense of sanity, one needs a fragrance that is straightforward, clean, orderly, astringent, and a little bit nervy. Just a little bit nervy. Just a little bit so that this person can express himself or herself among the chaos at the school while teaching a class. That's you with an edge. You know, your desk is a hot mess, a sloppy mess, but your dwelling is clean. Your fragrance is clean and crisp. That's what I get. That's who wears Libertine Neroli. Needless to say, I had teachers growing up that wore fragrances that smelled like this. And that's exactly how they were. If it matters, these were AP teachers. Okay, moving on, we've got Emerald Curry by Parfum Prissana. Now, I talked about this not too long ago in a sample review. I loved it so much, I said then I was going to get a full bottle, and I kept my word. Okay, so this is a 30 ml extrait. It was released in 2026, and it goes for about $180. The notes in this are written right on the bottle. They are kaffir lime leaves, holy basil, coconut, green chili, lemongrass, cumin seed, coriander, galangal, and incense. Whoa, this stuff is powerful. All right. Think of the hippie bohemian type. This person is very relaxed in dress, but very deep in thought. This person contemplates metaphysics. You know, are we individuals or are we part of a system like quantum physics maybe? You know, I'm here, but I'm also part of my vanity desk. Even though we're separate, we're very much together. This person has a casual dress, but, you know, again, is surprisingly cerebral. The complexity of the fragrance comports with that. It's got some pretty basic sounding notes, but combined, it creates an image of someone who refuses to adhere to convention, someone who wants to be seen as an individual, someone who wants to be seen as an individual comes second. This person wants to be seen. You don't wear this unless you want to be noticed. Is it too bold for some environments? Potentially. I find when I was a vegan, I was a vegan for a while. And I did it for dietary reasons. I love animals, I really do, but I did it for health reasons. And there was an old joke. How does it go? If you want to know if someone's a vegan, don't worry, just wait a minute and they'll tell you. Like they wear it proudly. And I did at the time as well. It was just something I don't know why I felt compelled to share with everyone what my dietary habits were. That's kind of the feeling I get from this fragrance. This person wants to be known for something, wants to be seen and recognized for something. This person's an intellectual who loves, you know, tofu and hummus, and they'll let you know that. But at the same time, you know, completely unabashed and unafraid to be judged, which I admire. Emerald Curry by Parfum Prissana. Next, we've got, let's see here. Oh, yes. Sal et Pepe by Hilde Soliani. This one is lots of fun. So this is 100 ml. It's an EDP. It's a 2024 release, and it goes for about $175. What are the notes? Real simple, salt and pepper. So as you smell this, it's citrus a little bit. There's a hint of creaminess. It's pretty, it's pleasing to wear, but its simplicity is its message. I'm uncomplicated, and I want to be known for that. I spit in the face of convention and commercial acceptability. I'm wearing Salt and Pepper. And I'll tell you what it's called, because its simplicity, its directness is a signal of my personality traits, the personality traits for which I want to be known. That's who wears this. I think it's beautiful. As Salt and Pepper fragrances go, as salt fragrances go, it's not oceanic, but there's just a bold statement about it. This probably is one of the safer fragrances if you want to make a statement, but you don't want to make it in a way that's off-putting at all. And I'm not saying the others are off-putting, but they're less likely to fly under the radar. This may fly under the radar a little bit because the citrus is very prominent, and the black pepper, I think, has become something of a pretty common note in fragrance. The salt is another one that I think is not so out in left field anymore. It's not a floral. It's not, one of those commercially overly available fragrances. It's very much niche. It's gorgeous quality. I love it. It screams individual, but it screams in a way that no one minds listening to it. It's not a screeching scream. It's very much a pleasant bellow. There we go. Soli Pepe by Hilde Soliani. Okay. Next, we've got, oh yes, a favorite. It is a classic original Musk by Kiehl. This one, what does this say? This always makes me think of 1970s, early 80s Jovan. Not a dupe, not a substitute. It is a niche artistic impression of that kind of musk, right? This is, by the way, this is a 50 ml EDT. I'm sorry, $50 30 ml EDT. And it's a 2004 release. So this has been around a while. I hear a lot of talk about it. I think it's generally appreciated, but it's got such a nostalgic presentation of musk to it that I think it makes a statement, a nonconformist statement, right? This person is not in his or her 20s, but they're also not in their 80s. This is a person who values nostalgia, remembers what it was like at a time when things were a little less complicated, but definitely not simple. This person is brave, strong, wise, has seen a lot of change in the world, and through all of that remains as energetic and spry as a 30-year-old. This is a Gen X fragrance for sure, and I say that proudly because I am Gen X. The notes in here, I should have mentioned, are orange blossom, bergamot, ylang ylang, lily, neroli, musk, of course, tonka bean, and patchouli. A gorgeous classic. Do not be fooled by the fact that this is an EDT. Much like classic fragrances we all know and love, these eau de toilettes packed a punch. The EDTs of yesteryear were not wallflowers at all, and this is no exception. This fragrance, is certainly not what I would call a beast, but it definitely opens up that way, and you want to be careful how much of it you spray, because although it isn't the strongest fragrance I own, it is also not among the lighter fragrances, even though it's an EDT. It wears like an EDP. Really beautiful stuff. The animalic part of it at the beginning settles down quite a bit, and it kind of blooms into an animalic presentation of the classic Jovan style Western musk. Beautiful stuff. Kiehl's original musk. Next, we've got, where are you? Musc Amarante. Speaking of musk, by L'Artisan Parfumeur. This is a Quinton Biche fragrance. This is 100 ml. It's an EDP. It is a 2022 release, and it goes for about $265. The notes in this are also pretty simple: beet, musk, and bergamot. This is audacious, for sure. I think this one is nervy, because you dare to go back to your roots if you're Gen X, or you dare to try and wear the experience of a Gen Xer. This one is daring to wear someone's childhood memory. I believe that Quinton Biche formulated this with the memory of eating beets as a child in his mind, and yet wanted to craft something beautiful, artistic, wearable. Well, he accomplished some art, and he captured the beet, for sure. This is minerally, very photorealistic as to the beets. It is a nice white musk. Is it wearable for the average person? I don't know. I do think that one should test this before buying. This would not be a safe blind buy, in my opinion. It's earthy. Is it nervy? Yeah. I like vegetal fragrances. And the heck with anyone who doesn't agree. I'm wearing this for me. I love beets. I don't really love beets. I can tolerate beets in small doses, but I know a lot of people like them, and they're very pretty to look at. So, and allegedly very healthy. But people feel very, I think beets can be polarizing. A polarizing beet. Almost a political statement among vegetables. I think beets are associated with folks over 40 who are trying desperately to guard their health, or who have an obsession with root vegetables, beets in particular. And there are plenty of people out there who do. Like, they are emphatic. They are fanatical about their beets. This might be the fragrance for you, but at the end of the day, no matter where you land in the beet controversy, this fragrance says, I'm an earthy person. I like natural smelling fragrances with just a hint of, the perfumey aspect of it. I want to smell like earth, vegetables, springtime, nature, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Is this a commercial slam dunk? I wouldn't say it is. I love it. That's why I got a full bottle. I think it's amazing. I smelled this. Again, I am not a beet fanatic. No way. But I loved it. I could not get it out of my mind. And this was not easy to get, let me tell you. Everywhere I looked, it was sold out. I had to buy this from a European seller. It took me a while. I paid a premium for it. and I don't care. This is great stuff, especially if you like beets. This is Musc Amarante by Libertine Parfumeur. Next, among our audacious fragrances, we have another Libertine Parfumeur fragrance. It is, I don't hear much about this one, friends. It is Iris de Gris. Where do I start with this one? Have you smelled this? It is incredible. This is another Quentin Biche. This is a 2022 release. It is 100 ml. It's an EDP, and it also goes for about $265. I had a little bit of an easier time getting this one, and the notes in this are also pretty straightforward. It's peas, galbanum, and iris. What a combination. The galbanum is very bitter. The peas are very green, freshly picked. The galbanum and the peas almost come across as a tomato vine. It's that sharp. And it is only barely offset by the young iris hint of powderiness. It's not a full-on mature iris with all the powdery accords. No way. This is just taking the edge off, and it doesn't completely do that. You just know it would be even more bitter, but for the iris. This presents to me as that scary thing that becomes palatable after a little while. It starts out on your skin as bold. It screams at you, it grabs you, and it shakes you up. It is a statement. It's overpowering. It is extremely green. Then it settles down. Then you start seeing, it's hinted a softer side, but it's still unyielding. It's like a test. It wants to see how long you'll stick around before you give up. This is not for the faint of heart, but if you appreciate a green, very verdant energy in a fragrance, this is probably for you. It's like an uncontrollable vine growing and growing and growing until it has like a mint. I mean, it doesn't have mint in it, but you know how mint just kind of expands until it's reached its level of satisfaction, and then it just stops. I don't know why it stops. It just does. This is like that. It just reaches a point where it's made its statement and it stops, and then it settles a bit, and it wants to see how long you'll stick around. The personality of the person wearing it, I think, in my mind, kind of aligns with that. This person wants to see how much you'll tolerate, and then will yield. Could be interesting, right? And once that yield occurs, the person settles into a calm, soft state. It makes me think of a movie ages ago called Creepshow. And there was one, it was like these, little short stories in a movie, which was a collection of these short stories. And there was one where it was like Stephen King, and he sees like a meteor, and it falls to the earth in his yard, and he goes and he finds it and he touches it. He just touches this meteor. And then a few minutes later, where he touched the meteor, there's like green moss growing from him. And then eventually the green moss grows all over his body. It's growing on his face, it's growing on his clothes, it's growing all around him. And then at the end of the short story, like he's just sitting there in his recliner watching TV, and it's just like, you can't tell him from, the vegetation outside. It's just all green. That's what I get from this. it is an overwhelming green fragrance. I love green fragrances. And if you do too, this may be for you. If you do not, test this before buying it, please. Gorgeous stuff. It is Iris de Gris by L'Artisan Parfumeur. We are now at our last fragrance for the evening. Did you guess what it is? The leg-eating, seafaring story. It is none other than White Whale by Musc Milano. I'm referring, of course, to the Herman Melville classic Moby Dick, after which this fragrance was, I guess not technically named, it was inspired by the novel. All right, so the nose behind this is Christian Allori. This is a 35 ml EDP released in 2022. It goes for $150. The notes in this are olibanum, salt, hemp, black pepper, ambergris, but of course, osmanthus, violet, orris, cedar, patchouli, vetiver, and labdanum. This isn't tragic like the story. This is the wrong test strip. This is someone who wants to push the limits of convention, but not go completely full-on niche rabbit hole like, you know, this one. This is very pleasant. Sure, it's got all the notes we talked about. Very salty. The hemp is not a marijuana hemp at all. You know, it's supposed to be like a rope accord, you know, reminiscent of, I guess, ropes on a whaling ship. Not too much. It's classic, but it's likable as niche goes. Stepping out of the norm for sure. But is it a battle of wills, you know, humanity against nature? Probably not. This person takes a measured step away from convention, a measured step away from, you know, the commercially overavailable fragrances du jour. I think it makes a statement. It's not overly bold, but it is a step in the direction of something deeper, something artistic, something with a soul. And I'm not saying that your average commercially overly available fragrance is soulless. I'm not saying that. I may be thinking it, but I'm not saying it. I'm just kidding. This is a nice place to start. If you want to go down the niche road, this would be a great place to start. It's beautiful. It pushes the limits of convention, but it still says you're unconventional. This is White Whale by Musc Milano. Did you guess? Musc Milano, White Whale. What do you think of my clue? What do you think of tonight's lineup? I know there are so many I could have named, but I really just wanted to kind of get the ball rolling and talk about what makes these niche fragrances a step out of the ordinary. You know, some of them, and I own a bunch of, you know, primarily niche fragrances, but I think a lot of them from time to time play it safe. These didn't, and I respect that. So, hey, if you're not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed tonight's content on unconventional, unapologetic niche fragrances. Give me a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.